Hello there, engineering thinkers, and welcome back to our show, Engineering Thinking by IK. So engineering thinkers, this is a place where we welcome you, whether you are training to become an engineer or you're just very much interested in the field. There's a place for you here. For today's show, I have an incredible guest with us. She's the Group Managing Director of Samaiden Group Berhad. She graduated in chemical engineering with honors from University Putra, Malaysia. In 2014, she was elected to be a member of the Institute of Engineers, IEM, Malaysia. And in 2016, she registered as a professional engineer with the Board of Engineers, Malaysia. Her organization, Samaiden Group Berhad, is focused on delivering game-changing solutions using clean energy and environmental services for their clientele. They have secured hundreds of millions in projects across Malaysia regarding solar power plant projects. Chow Pui Hee, thank you very much for joining us on the show today, and congratulations on celebrating the 10th anniversary of Samaiden.
Yes, thank you.
So engineering thinkers, we're now going to start the first part of our program, as you know, the journey and the origin story of our engineering superhero for today, which is Chow. So like any good hero story, we have to understand where they came from and what inspired them. So Chow, can you share with our audience today what inspired you to get into engineering?
If you say that inspiring, actually it's not really inspiring. At our generations, in the good results of in academy, usually will be studying of science. So upon completions, science, then you have to selective to the university, what are the subject you want to study. Because my family background, they don't, it's not educated, parents are not educated. It's up to your choice that you want, what you want to do. So looking at it with so many choice of courses that you want to select, it's just that based on our senior suggestions, say, why don't you go for engineering? That you have a good result, your mathematics is good. So that is something that, in fact, is not really anything to inspire, but it's by accident to enter in the engineering.
So it happened by almost like accident. You chose engineering, or you would move towards it from the advice of others.
During the time of choosing a time, actually, it's not really we chose for it, but it's actually that based on the feedback, yeah, why don't we try it? Because our generation is not like now, you can Google and all these things that you really want to find more information about what you're going to study or about engineering. It's actually, you just really read from the newspaper or from the books. So that's why that is, I can say that is, it's just that by accident enter in engineering, but we really know what we are doing actually is university time.
Oh, okay. So keep that in mind to the viewers here. So we have someone that is a business leader today that sort of stumbled into the field of engineering. So we're going to ask Chow a little bit more about that. So since you mentioned that you sort of came into the world of engineering, not
planned for it,
yeah.
not planned for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But did you find that when you were studying engineering that it was challenging, if that's the case, since you sort of, went into it that way?
Frank to tell that since young days that my study capability is very, very good. I'm the top students, and also study for me is not a challenge. Yeah, so all the while is that. So that's why when we enter to the engineering course, then only that we really see that what are we going to do and what we're going to study. So just now we just touched that is engineering, and also engineering also there is a lot of branches that you got have civil engineering, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, and others that much more that now available. The only point of time that selective selection of engineering was actually is based on the recommendation by the teachers that, well, yeah, good result, go for science, after that go science, go engineering. But also got engineering, also different branches. So what suppose you want to choose? That is also another headache things. Yeah. Then we actually not really know what day will come up, you have to work for it. But a small common one is actually engineering is more towards civil and structural engineering, that actually we always say that those CNS engineers, that is something that you want to do engineers, and then you are a CNS engineer. But at the point of time that I make a bit own decisions, that because of the time is way back is towards the 1998 or 1999. That time is actually is the world's economic crisis. Yeah, that time is actually a lot of people that after graduate they are not able to find jobs, and when world economic crisis that there is less development. That's why when at that time I wanted to enter university, at that time that I say, okay, you don't go on CNS. Later on, you finish your studies. Actually, cannot find job. So that's why it's actually that is not going on the CNS. So then why enter in chemical engineering is primary is actually is mentor by the senior of the in Form 6 that they explain a bit about what consists in the chemical engineering courses. Then I find that it's actually very interesting. So that's why I'm decided to enter to chemical engineering as the first choice of me choosing the after our STPM. I think most of the nowadays a lot of the students now not go towards the routes of STPM, but I'm going for STPM, and we enter to local university. So that's why when I choose first option is go for chemical engineering. And even though UPM also was my first option that I chose, and I've been even the first options.
That's an excellent sort of outlook on Ara Chow's journey here during her days studying in university. But I want to ask our guest, Ara Chow, actually, when you said you found chemical engineering interesting, that sort of gave you the motivation to continue with it? Because we're finding that a lot of people are sort of dropping out of engineering classes and courses. So I want to understand, what is it that motivates you to stay?
Because it's chemical engineering is not so a conventional engineering, because the course and the subjects wise is actually quite dynamic. And I feel at the point of time that for me, engineering actually should be dynamic, because it will not using a same design, same engineering skill for the entire of the developments, because that if when there is a development, that actually the engineering skill will actually be changes. It depends on the needs. So that's why chemical engineering is one of the engineering subject is actually quite dynamics, and there's a lot of choices that you wanted to finish the study ready. You can enter to oil and gas. At a point in time, oil and gas is very, very good. Also can enter to oleochemicals, manufacturings. Also, there is a branch of the environments. So that's why there is a lot of choices that we still can have a flexibility to choose, despite that we have completed the entire courses there.
Fantastic. Now that was an excellent answer to my question, of course, and to our viewers out there. Keep in mind what Ara Chow just mentioned, that engineering actually is a very broad field with a lot of different specialities. So there's a lot of things to discover. It's not just the few fields of engineering that people are familiar with. So don't sort of narrow your view and pigeonhole yourself. And make sure you explore dynamic sort of courses and programs in engineering that might excite you, as they have Ara Chow. So we're going to close section 1 of the show with that. I think we've learned a lot about Ara Chow's origin story, her superhero engineering origin story, and we're going to catch you back in block 2 in the second section of this program. Engineering thinkers, welcome back to our second segment of today's episode. Now, for the second segment, we call the highlight, because it's going to be an amazing segment, basically where we tap into the wisdom and insight of our guest. So Ara Chow is going to share with us today something very unique. Now, usually we have our guests on and they share a particular project or a case study, but this time we're going to actually examine Ara Chow's journey from the site to the boardroom. So how she made her transformation as a graduate of honors in chemical engineering now to a renowned business leader. So Ara Chow, the first thing I want to ask was, how did you find your journey began when you first graduated from university and to your first professional job?
Okay, I think that now that really this year will be like 23 years after I graduated from university. So in short, that we can say that the first half of this 23 years for the 11 years actually is more at the activity of underemployment. So really more towards the engineers' works. So as I said, in university time, that as selective chemical engineering, that actually there is two elections that when we do in the final years that we can do on environmental and also process engineering. There got also few elective lah, that's right. Then actually I taken two elective that is environmental and also process engineering, in which that just now I mentioned touch about there is options to go to factories or options to go to the environment or also even oil and gas. But I didn't likes to on the oil and gas during my internship. I really much decided I would not go on oil and gas or oil chemicals. That I don't know, at that time my feelings towards that it's actually not so strong. I still trust on the environmental. So I started my career on the environmental side, in which I involved in the design and build of a wastewater and water treatment plant. So at the particular industry, I think that I have worked more than close to 10 years there. I think purely is more towards to gain as a young engineer the path of engineers to do, inclusive of need to do a site work, design works, project management works, presentation, because that I'm very glad that the exposure that towards the when I do I started with environmental engineers, become environmental managers, doing the design and build wastewater treatment plants, is given the exposure of the entire change of engineering. Take an example that when you wanted to propose so-called wastewater treatment plants to factories, their problem statement is the water coming out is dirty. They need to comply with Department of Environment standards. So then we need to collect the so-called wastewater sample to do jar tests our factories there to determine what are the formulations that of the chemicals we use to treat the water in order for them to become clean. So that is the problem statement. So that's why we need to do the study on that and prepare the so-called formulations. Then after that, we have to come up with a proposal from a jar, that means from a lab scale towards a so-called the actual scale, because the volume of the water is actually
to an industrial level solution.
Yes. So that's why then from there we come up with the engineering design, how to get the sizing, all these things actually. After prepare all this thing, costing, everything you have to prepare, then after they have to present to the customer. Because that this is your solutions. Your solutions that also customer also have to buy your solutions. If the customer don't buy your solutions, so it's no business case, how good is your design is, nobody will take it.
Can I ask you, since you're an expert on this field, you worked 10 years doing this sort of chemical engineering, right? And from the lab to industrial solution. But I'm sure some people might be thinking, well, why is it important to monitor the discharge and come up with an industrial solution?
Government requirements, right? So Department of Environmental requirements. So if you continue to discharge the wastewater towards our rivers, it will contaminate the river, contaminate the drinking waters. So that's why it's contaminated to the environment. So that's why that we need to treat the water. But basically, for the industrial perspective, for them, this for them is not a business case. For them, it's a cost. Because how you treat your wastewater will not add revenue to your business. Actually, you treat your wastewater more and spend more cost to treat it. Actually, will add more cost to your business. Actually, it will pull down your P&L.
I see.
So that's why when you're doing this marketing or selling the solutions or wastewater treatment system, actually is very challenges, and the perspective of the user is for compliance purpose. It's not for the revenue generation purpose. So that's why the perspective is different. So despite that, but due to compliance, some of them they need to do, but will spend less cost and less resources. So that is the things that when people think that engineers, that you can come up with very perfect design, very optimum design, very good design, and actually can give a good solutions. But you have to bear in mind that you have to balance out with the how much the people willing to buy, how much cost they're willing to spend on it. So that's why this is sometimes I find that now the younger generation, they still have the fantasy that, I have to have this perfect design, I have to do this and that. But it still come back to dollar and cents. If nobody, not say not appreciate it, I got no allocated budget for your solutions, how can, I can choose not to buy your solution, but this is their problem. They still need to solve. They will opt for more cost-efficient solutions. So that's why that the advice towards the engineers, don't just blindly look at your perfect solution, but you have to think of the dollar and cents, the cost-efficient solution. If you don't have these cost-efficient solutions, people don't buy your solution, your fantasy solutions is not going to implement. So that's the things that during that the 10 years of engineering, that's why we also touch a bit on the business developments, because this is something at presentation scale that you need to present and need to close the deal. If not closing the deal, how perfect is your design is or your proposal is not being executed. So after closing the deal, then only the journey of the engineering started. Because that you close the deal already, then you really start the so-called is a real engineering. That one is a prelim engineering design. So you secure the order already, then the boss say, okay, you can spend time to do a real engineering design, to do a cost optimization for the bosses to say that, oh yeah, I have to work within our budget so that we can have the margin that you have calculated. If you said, oh, I come take the order already, I perfect my design, oh boss, I have to spend additional 10 or 20%. Then boss says, definitely your solution will not be approved, because that they already budgeted that kind of margin.
Even though it's the perfect solution.
Yeah.
But it's not feasible.
Yeah, it's still feasible, but you affected your boss margin. Yeah. So your cost, your budget definitely will not approve.
But Chow, I'm sure a lot of our viewers are thinking, because some of them are training to become engineers or they're junior engineers, then they might ask you, well, a lot of these skills that you mentioned aren't in the syllabus. They're not something that's taught in colleges or universities. So can I ask you on behalf of our audience, actually, how did you accumulate these skills of negotiation, communication, and education of non-engineers? I think are very important too. You mentioned it, you touched on that, because you have all these concepts and all these engineering jargon and solutions, but a lot of non-engineers might not be familiar with those terms.
Just I say that engineering degree is just a foundations. For me, it's just a foundations. And the technologies evolvement now is very, very fast. The thing that you study in the university, not when you come up, and the kind of technology that you're studying actually may already not in the market itself already, or not competitive already. So that's why that as engineer being trained in university is not for you to memorize what you study, but you have to think, your thinking skill, how you apply a technologies into your engineering works. New technology, although you are not inventor, but you are the solutions providers. That means that there is a lot of different technology product in the market itself. You have to use your engineering skills to think and select the right solution and apply to the suitable condition. Some of the equipment actually is good, but it's just not suitable to your problem. So that's why that is that more towards experience and willing to try. Then also don't only think this is right, this is right. And I noticed that a lot of young engineers, they actually is not so flexible. They think that this is right, this is right. So they don't know how to come up with alternative solutions. For us, that I always train my people that yes, we know that this is a standard solution, standard design. Why you didn't spend a little bit time to come up with alternative design or alternate solutions for you to have a better efficiency or better cost optimizations, or always I like the word is a value engineering. This is value engineering is very, very important, particularly in this kind of economics, that all the businesses looking at cost saving to maximize the profit. So that is very, very important, because the one solution, one answer is not applicable for all the questions.
I see. Well, Archa, so you've managed to share a lot of great insight there, but also showed us that you're a very capable problem solver and very capable professional engineer. So now the next question, of course, is why did you stop sort of working your professional job as an engineer on site, and why did you make the very bold move to suddenly start your own company? So now we're going to start with the journey of Samaiden, and why did you actually quit your previous job if you're so good at it?
So you come back to the how I entered in engineering is just now I said by accidents, right? So how come I entered in the entrepreneur also by accident? So maybe that this session is for inspiring the engineers to become entrepreneur, but sometimes actually it's just that it really depends that how you work at your same time to the story is actually is like when you work a certain years, you have learned all the engineering skill, project management skill, leading a bunch of engineers, delivering the results to your bosses, but at a certain stage that you feel that like exhausted, and you would think that the so-called the hard work and your contribution that you deliver, is it appreciated by the employer or your so-called your bosses? So sometimes this kind of feeling, I think most of the people will reach this kind of like so-called bottleneck, this kind of feeling that what I'm going to continue in this current career, am I continue become professionals, or you want to become a management, or you want to become an entrepreneur? Because that when the first journey of the engineering journey, first 5 to 10 years time, is on the gathering the skill. Gathering engineering skill, gathering communication skill, presentation skill, networking skill, all the skills. And all the skills that management skill as well. So all these skills that you gather already, then you have to you have like standing in the junction already. What you wanted to be profession is. Engineer, they can choose to become professionals engineer or pure technicals engineer. In fact, like myself, like before I start my own business, I climbed until a general manager positions. So what I plan to go, I plan to go further to pursue to the CEO positions. That is something. There is a question that I have one director. He's also a professional engineer. I asked him why that a corporate CEO, their background usually is a finance background, accountant background. This is the questions that I asked him that before I decided to quit outside first. Then he gave me an answer is, engineers think too much. You put too much of safety factors. I said the thing is that engineers always safety factors. So too much of safety factors that you have ideals, but you don't know how to apply. Technically, you know how to apply, but you still come back to commercial, still come back to the financials. So that's why that in the trend of the mostly the corporate CEO actually is like finance background, like because that they know how to use fund to apply and or to make the business deal. So then this is something struck on mind that struck my mind. But I think that why not an engineer become an entrepreneur? That is the mind that I'm thinking that. So plus a little bit of exhausted, and this is striking my mind that because if I continue to climb the corporate ladder in my corporate, I also may facing a challenge already that possibly that others, so-called my colleague that in a finance background, because after GM, that definitely is a C-suite levels, others that my other colleagues at if like coming from finance background, possibly he or she will be climbing up of me. So that's why I think that why don't I stop for a while? That I actually has set up Samaiden in way back at the time is 2014. So said, okay, why don't I start tech? I run it myself. I just started with consultancy works that all the thing can manage myself. So I just started with only 2 persons, myself and one of my engineers. So back 2014 to 1st July. So on my own. So the time that is not that I plan to do it. It's just that either I apply a new job or I run this Samaiden doing some consultancy works first that is more flexible and have more time for the family as well. So this is intentions of myself to set up my own business is because of flexible and to have more time. That is the objective at the point of time. But but when I always I put in what kind of situation that I would not like satisfied at the current position that I need 2% or 3%. That definitely when at that position I will do things well. I'm doing well, and also there is a lot of opportunity came, and also timing is so very perfect because that as I mentioned earlier, I choose to go on environmental. I'm passionate about environmental, basically passionate about environmental, and think that this make a game changers possibly, yes, because that oil and gas environmental at a point my time, oil and gas paid is actually compared to my first job paid at least double. If you enter into Shell, Petronas, and it's very easy to enter with my result and everything. But I never apply any jobs at this kind of oil and gas industry because I don't have a good feeling on that. Just maybe on the feeling itself. So I go to the environmental works that been paid less, much less so. But I'm passionate about that. So that's why when they set up a Samaiden, also my objective of setting up a company is actually to provide total solution for clean energy. So that's why it's also a big change as well. From chemical engineer, suddenly go on energy. So energy is more towards the electrical engineering. It's not more towards the chemical engineering.
Well, a lot of your journey so far, RHR, has been very dynamic. It's been a lot of changes and shifts, right? And so when we get back to the next part of this segment, we're going to ask RHR a little bit more about what she believes entrepreneurship is. Engineering thinkers. So now we've learned a lot about our guest, RHR, and how she sort of handled her journey through her professional career, which was also filled with a lot of challenges, but she overcame them by deploying all her skill sets. And now we're going to ask her what entrepreneurship means to her and what defines an entrepreneur. RHR?
Define of entrepreneur. Business. It's still business. That's all. I did touch a little bit on the engineering have to be coupled with business. That's why business is profit and loss, money. And always I say that if the company is not making money, how can we pay the salary of the engineers, of the people? So entrepreneurs is actually a drive for me to do business. And I want that my solutions actually is provide profit to myself, to the company, as well as the solution to provide benefits to the customer. That's why always that my mentors is actually I wanted to give solutions. We're a solutions provider. It's not that at one end I come to sell my solutions to just make money, but it's really that they are benefited to them. This is always my objective of I doing things is good for them. Customer first is good for them, but we also a businessman also have to good for us. We are not like doing charity that not making money.
Now, we're going to ask Archa another key question here. Of course, we know her now as a business leader, and I'm sure she knows what she's looking for in young engineers and those aspiring to join the industry. So now that she's running a publicly listed company, she's going to be a really great source of insight as to what industry is really looking for when it comes to engineering graduates. Archa, what do you think about that?
There is actually a lot of demands of engineers in the markets now, particularly like in my organizations. So we are continue to attracting engineering graduates, and it's not necessary to become like electrical engineers. Actually, other disciplines is actually also can be joining our firm. Why is it? Because that we are the clean energy service provider. We do engineering, procurement, construction, and commissioning services, in which we design and build large-scale solar farm or so-called renewable energy power plant. So we require different disciplines, talents, from design works, engineering works, from the project management works, so from the sites management work, testing and commissioning works. So all this is our engineers. Basically, my organization's about 70% is engineers. So that's why the demand now of engineering graduates actually is still very, very high. And talking about industry, renewable energy industry is, people say booming. In fact, for me, it's not actually is booming. Actually, booming was happening about 10 years ago. That is called booming. When I started the business, actually it's the time of renewable energy booming from zero to go. So that is called booming. But now, actually for me, it's happening. Why is so I call happening? The Malaysia governments actually, they set very ambitious carbon emissions reduction goals. They launched a lot of program, National Energy Transmissions Roadmap. Then continuously, every year they launch different programs in order for them to achieve the targets that they set. And Malaysia is one of the countries that the program is continuously running in a controlled way. That means that their capacity of the RE is increasing in a controlled way, compared to other countries that they can suddenly let a lot of installations to be put on the ground, but until the stage that the grid cannot take it, then you have to stop it. For example, Vietnam, stop it, that you all cannot continue develop until they solve the problem of the grid. But Malaysia is a country that actually we plan very, very well. We can solve it slow and steady, and actually it's continuously. So that's why that I say this happening will be happening another 10 years. That for the continuous, there are a lot of large-scale solar farms. They continuously have a new battery energy storage project to be coupled with the renewable energy solar farm, and there is a hydrogen projects that actually is further, not so near, further. That is actually another revolution will happen after there's batteries. So that's why I said this is very, very happening. Our industry is very, very happening, and I think I did share quite a lot of analysts that telling about the potential of Samaiden and potential of this industry. I just continue to say the definition is happening, because that we are too busy with all this program that government open. this program haven't finished, the project haven't finished for this program, the new program come ready. Then we have to explore with a new program and exploring. That's why the team is keep on busy to apply the program and execute the program. The project haven't executed, finished, new things come up. So we can say that it's very, very busy.
So the outlook is very positive to all our engineering thinkers out there and to our young engineers aspiring to join the industry. Now, our Chow said it's not just booming, it's happening. So that's the place you want to be. And that's the sort of roles you want to play. Now, let's ask another important question I'm sure a lot of our viewers are thinking about. If they wanted to join an organization like Samaiden, then what are you looking for in a young graduate or junior engineer? What qualities are you looking for?
I'm not looking for the students or the graduate that with the very, very good result, 4 flats. That is not a main criteria. The main criteria is actually looking at the work commitment. So engineering is a journey. You cannot see the result immediately. You have to have a so-called, whether you are a short run or you are a marathon. I rather choose the graduate that can go on marathon because it's a long journey. To implement a project actually is not in a short period. Consider renewable energy projects, solar farm projects, you can be completed, executed within 1-2 years. But you can see a lot of building developments, they are talking about 5-6 years. So you have to be passionate about the works that you're doing. You have to committed to the works that you are doing. Don't look for short term. Now I noticed that some of the young engineers, they don't have passion. They no patience. I do come in, do something that repeating and repeating and this one I really bored already. I have to go for another things to do. But this is the things that you haven't gathered your so-called enough skill and knowledge. Within few months or within a year, probably for me, engineers start work within a month, few months or a year, possibly it's just that it's the warming up only. It's not really of learning on application of your engineering skill. But some of the younger generation now, they got no patience. And also they are looking at, some of them, they are very big plant. And they say, I don't want to base at site to monitor the development of the project at site. No value for me, no value. So, but to be very frank, that if engineers, you don't have site experience, you don't call yourself engineers. Because site experience for me personally, as I'm a lady, I also base site before. I also base site before. You don't base at site, you don't want to work under hot sun, you are not engineer. Base site is important, is actually you can see the detail at site physically through your eye. And you can see the so-called contractor, how they do work. And all these things you can see actually is very useful when you are the manager managing the thing at office. I agree with you all, you don't forever at site. You have to have site experience. But you see what you know, then people will not, when you go back to become a manager at office, then your site engineer going to report a lot of things to you. If you don't have that kind of experience, the thing they are talking about, you are not able to give solution to them. They expect you to give solution to them. But you didn't expose yourself before, how can you give solution to them? And second thing is, they report to you, possibly they are not doing a right thing. Correct or not? When they're site, you cannot see, they just that, simply report, this is delay, what is the happening delay, no, this kind of contractor like that or whatever. Then you cannot really judge that, the real reason, and you solve the thing by the time. So that's why I always say that don't just say that, to choose, I want to sit office, I want to do design only. If you just say, I want to do design only, then also don't say you are an engineer, it's just a designer. Design, I just draw. Actually, you said, I just want to do design only. Sometimes I always say that, then you become a draftsman better. that is not really on the design. It's actually it's using AutoCAD and drafting things only. It's not really on design if you not really don't know what you are doing. So advise the young engineer have to be patient and they have to passionate about your job and have to ask. I find that now younger generation, they don't like to ask. Sometimes that your superior or your senior asks you to do certain things, then he just deliver the certain thing within, some of them within a timeline, most of them actually will be exceeded the timeline that if you don't monitor them closely. But they didn't know what the things that they are doing is contributed to the success of the entire works. Because it's just like a puzzle that you are thought that, oh, I always fit this side. But they cannot see the overall pictures. You have to actually, they have to ask that, I'm do this, actually what are the net result that I'm going to get? If you're willing to ask, I believe your superior or your manager or server will tell you. If you don't ask, then you expect people to feed you all the information. Will not.
You won't be successful in that sense.
Will not. I think nowadays, actually, the younger generation actually is much better now because there are a lot of information they can, if they're interested, they can gather the information very easy. Or either they ask a series, the others they ask the friend, as long as they ask, or they Google, they got the interest to know more. Compared to our time, we don't have all these resources to ask. We don't have Google, don't have series that to ask us. We're going to go to a library to find a book, old book that actually old solutions already is not able to. And our so-called our seniors actually is those seniors that in the typical thinking is, I teach you too much already. Then after that, I lost my job. This is the situation of I think this kind of generation wouldn't have like that, but I think that our generation is always like that. Oh, I don't want to teach you too much. Teach you already, then after that you take over my job. So they are like protective about their scope or their so-called secret recipe. They will not tell you one and let you bang your head a few times already. I'll come back and tell you, oh, this or they shouldn't do like that. So that's why this younger generation, they never feel this kind of feeling before. That's why we actually been through on these things that I've been through the process. I always tell, if you come to ask me, definitely I will tell you what is the head to tail until don't think that I'm nagging, but I will tell you overall pictures so that you can visualize the thing clearer. Because a lot of time when you do things, you can't visualize. Just like you're running, you cannot see your goal. You're just running that I don't know I run for what. When you continue to do such a way, you'll be demoralized, you'll be demotivated. So, but if you think yourself that you still keep everything to yourself, you didn't communicate it out, you tell your superior or then the thing will not come itself. They will thought that, oh, always ask me to do all this drawing, always ask me to do that. Oh, my job is all this drawing. Okay, doesn't matter, I'm not happy, I go to other place too. But in actual facts, communication skill is very, very important. I noticed that now younger generation is actually lack of communications.
A lack of communication.
Yes.
And that's clearly a critical skill if you want to be successful as a business leader. And then, in fact, we want to touch on that because our job, being the group managing director and a business leader, she has to have leadership skills. And we're going to ask her to give us a couple of leadership skills that she thinks is important, besides, of course, communication, one of them. What are some skills you think that young engineers should aspire to have?
As the example. So I always say that as a leader, you must lead as example. Work dedications, work monitoring. I noticed that now actually internally, in-house, I organizing a leadership skill training for my young manager. So this young manager, most of them, they can become manager because they are capable and young, capable. But alone, they are capable. But when they have a team, become not capable. Reason being is he is so capable, and the team is looking at him to do work. He's too capable that the team is not working. They look at, okay, oh yeah. That is not a leadership. I always say this is not a leadership. Leadership is actually you need to have work dedications. You have to delegate all the works to you have to base on the strength of this guy, you delegate work to them, this guy, what guy delegate work, and you consolidate the things and make the solution out. But you are not the one to do all these things yourself. So now a lot of engineers, they are facing this kind of barrier. When they are alone or they handle the thing by himself, they are very capable. Their result is very, very good. But when asked them to lead a team, then they cannot demonstrate the kind of result anymore. Because they have to gather the few people together. Possibly is that I'm capable, but this guy not so capable. I tell you one time to do this thing, but you cannot deliver the result to me. Then, okay lah. While you are delivering, if I do better than you. Then why I want to wait for you to do? This is a common, very, very common issue that I see in these young managers. So that's why I'm doing the so-called leadership trainings internally for these young managers on the work dedication and communication, and tell them what is the importance of the function of everyone in your team. If you don't physically tell them or visibly tell them the function of each of them, they will think that, okay lah, doesn't matter lah, I do my work, then the other team just let them lah. Because I think this is most of the time is what's happening, that when they have in university, final year projects or group projects, it's very common, must have one leader, and there is a sleeping partners, definitely have one. And then this position, each of the team should have one capable, one sleeping, and not only one, probably a group of sleeping partner. And this leader, he or she is not carrying the leader. He's actually, when they have sleeping partners, they usually doesn't matter lah. We do ourselves, we finish up, then the whole group still can submit. This is very common, I think, until today. It's still happening now. That is also happening, it's actually in the works as well. Not the books as well, because that definitely there is someone that they think that if I don't do, definitely they have people to do. That's why they still continue have that kind of. But as leader, you shall not let this happen. Final year project one off is okay, but in actual real world, this kind of team that you continue with that, then you will like, okay, one guy do the 10 guy works, and then this one guy always can perform that do the 10 guy works. Then actually the bosses will not know it's your own works. Then they still think that you are very capable. The team is very capable, but end up the so-called that those sleeping partners, they can enjoy the benefit together. Then he will think that because of this work, already few weeks didn't go back to have dinner with my family, and this guy every day go back to have dinner. Then he will like have a demoralized already. And the day I say, okay, sorry, I cannot continue to be here already because that I don't have my work-life balance anymore. But other members is work-life balance. So that's why that leader show your example. You show your example. The dedications is very important, and most important is the time management and monitor the progress. A lot of people actually lack of is actually they didn't care about time. They do the so-called own shape time. So, and also didn't monitor. Okay, you do this job, then they don't spend time to coordinate, to communicate, and actually to review the things, and in order to amend it, become perfect. It's just that, okay, tomorrow need to submit already. So tomorrow 8 o'clock need to submit. So tomorrow 7 o'clock only ready. Then it's no time to be reviewed, no time to be brainstormed, no time to be amended. That is not right. So that's why the time management that should have allocated more time for review stage is not for the drafting stage. That is something that most common issue I found in my organization, and also the common issue of the young bunch of engineers. And sometimes I find that actually they are very smart, but they don't have the proper guidance about the importance of the things. Yes. So that's why then you come back to the young manager already. This young manager they know everything, but whether they wanted to distribute the information to the respective persons or not. So that's why this is nowadays actually challenges of the young manager to manage staff is more challenging compared our time. Our time, engineer, you have to listen to the boss. If you don't listen to the boss, tomorrow I got no job already. I have to find a job very difficult. But now, I don't like him. He's always like, tomorrow I can find a job easily. Yeah. So that's why that is the difference of so-called not say generation, difference of the situations now.
Well, that was full of insights, and we thank our Chow for excellent response. And keep that in mind. Those are the skills and those are the things that you have to keep in mind when you come into the workforce, and then especially if you're going to be following our Chow's footsteps and becoming a business leader and entrepreneur. Keep in mind those skills, and yes, be a team leader, but also have site experience, as she's mentioned, right? You have to lead by example. Now, engineering thinkers, we're going to conclude the second segment of this episode, and we're going to move on to the creative section next. We'll see you back soon. Engineering thinkers, welcome back to Engineering Thinking by IK. We reached the final segment of our show today, which is the creative section, where we explore a little bit more about the personal achievements of our guests and also their future plans and their vision for an engineering future here in Malaysia and abroad. So recently, Ir Chow was given the title Dato-ship. So she's Dato Ir Chow now. Congratulations to our esteemed guest. Now we want to ask Dato Ir Chow, how did she get to the point where she was offered a Dato-ship, and how does that impact her and motivate her moving forward?
Actually, a lot of Malaysian, you know that Dato-ship is a recognition, particularly for those working in the governments. Actually, they got a privilege that they can achieve a certain milestone via Dato-ship. But for business or for entrepreneurs, and one is the achievement is also a Dato-ship that is recognized by the so-called state governments that on your contributions to the society. So for me, it's a thank you for the compliment, and actually this might bring a good for us to have recognitions, because that is when you go to our government's projects, actually we will have like Dato to be attending. Actually, is a good.
I see. So keep that in mind. Recognition is in store for you if you work hard and you work towards your goals. Keeping in mind all the different advice and insights that Ir Chow has very graciously shared with us today. Now we're going to ask a little bit about Samaiden's structure as a publicly listed company. So obviously she has to lead this company, and she had to prepare it for an IPO ready status, which is before listing. So I want to ask you, how did you actually manage to do that? How did you manage to prepare your company to go public?
I started Samaiden in 2014. Within 5 years, the company is actually IPO ready. We submit for IPO in 2019. So how can we do in a short period within 5 years? I think a lot of people are asking, they are preparing for the 30 years, also they are not able to go IPO. So also thank for the opportunity that been available in the markets of the large-scale solar projects. And just now touch base about the first 1-2 years, basically more towards I'm doing more on the consultancy works. So because I want to have more relax or that to not so headache, then go on consultancy works. But sometimes that your hard work that you contribute, you put it in your works, actually the customer recognize. And I receive a very good feedback from the customer, and a lot of word of mouth that hey, you cannot solve this. Actually, you can check with Chow. Chow can help you to solve it. You wanted to develop large-scale solar farm, please go and check with Chow. Chow will know how to help you to do. So I'm very glad that when they're doing the implementation, the large-scale solar one, that has some customers that come to me that they are interested to participate, but they are so concerned that during the feed-in tariff time, the tariff that sell to the grid is actually cost, the lowest was actually 70 cents. So, and this large-scale solar one tender that they put the reference price is 41 cents, which is almost half. So then everyone in the market is saying that, oh, this one is not viable. It's not financially viable. We will not invest. So, but some other people still interested. They come to me that I said, no, it's still viable. We can help you on the preparing of the bid, inclusive a technical bid and a financial bid. As an engineer to prepare financial bid, we run financial models. That is something that I have learned during my career time, and doing the financial analysis that is not learned from school. It's not learned from what? It's learned from works. So from there, we have prepared a very competitive bid, and very lucky that I have helped 3 customers to submit in that time. 2 out of the 3 bids actually they've been awarded. 2 out of 3. So its success rate is very, very high. In fact, actually I can score 100 marks, but the third ones, unfortunately, their non-compliance is their own non-compliance, in which they left out their bank guarantee during the bid submission. Nothing to do with me, and in fact their submissions completeness and the bidding rates actually is for me definitely can win one. But it's no choice that I win too. And these 2 projects, one is 20 megawatt, one is 29 megawatts. That 20 megawatts projects at the point of time is worth about 100 millions. So and my customer come to me and ask me that, Chow, how can do? I also first time doing, I don't know how to do. Can you guide me along? I said, definitely I can guide you along. I also first time doing, but okay lah, that we can explore the thing together. So we guide him along and come to the main things, 100 million contracts that require funding. They have to get financing from the bank. And at the point of time that he asked me a question, Chow, you wanted to continue as consultant? I will work out consultancy fees out of the 100 million for you, or you wanted to take up the entire job yourself, your team. By the time I only got 4 staff. So I said definitely I'm confident to do it. I'm the kind of person, I'm confident to do it. But I think that I have to be realistic to you. I tell him that it's subjected to your financier, which is your bank, can accept Samaiden as the EPCC contractor or not. Because bank also need to assess the borrowers' criteria, the assess of the contractors' trial costs, the assess who are the ones that all these are risks to them before they giving a loan towards my customer for these contracts. So I bring him along to see banker as well, because banker at point of time first time they're doing financing for large scale solar projects, first time. Because there's FIT project, the largest is 5 mega. Versus very new. So bank also very new. They don't know how it works and what is solar, what is that. This is way back in 2017, 18 time. So we met Maybank, we met Affin Bank, and then advised, actually I'm leading the presentation to the bankers and the financial, explaining on the financial terms and the returns of investment to the banks, and actually and also show the track records as Samaiden's basically that and explain to them how the scheme is work and how is it. So ultimately the bank give an offer to my customer. Yeah, you can I can finance the projects. And the second question is that who are the EPC contractor? So my customer asked them, can we use Samaiden? Why not? Why not? So then my customer honor his word that bank approve you, then you can get the contract. That is contract is 100 millions. So that's why that is a game changers on Samaiden, why we can grow very fast. So also at the same time, because you say I tell you I secure 2 projects. Yeah. I have another 29 megawatts project. Also a very good. Also I delivered a very good impression to my customer. hey, Chow, how to do? I say, okay, do like that. Chow, how to do? Do like that, like that. So then, Chow, can you take up this contract or not? I said, sorry, I can't. I just taken 100 million already. This one is 150 million. I'm not able to take up. I got no resources, to be very, very frank. So how can you help me? Can I pay consultancy fees for you to guide me along? For sure lah, you want to pay me consultancy fee to guide you along? For sure, I do it for you. Then while you're executing your project, my project follow you. That means that he will get contractor to follow the progress of this project. So that's why the time that I have one project become a so-called EPCC contractors as a contractors. I have another 29 mega projects as the owners engineers, in which that we are guiding the owners along all the processes, local authority approvals, licensing, all these things, and selection of the EPCC contractor and specification of then they put on your solar farm. So on top of that, based on my so-called the leading these games, actually even bank also recognize that, oh, your track records, right? Can you become a consultant for the bank? Like one bank that asked me to become their consultant to certify all this project that come to them to ask for a loan. Help me to ask me to help them to evaluate this technical of this project. Is it viable or not? And then after that, when they disperse the loan, to check all this condition of the disbursement, which is we always call it independent checking engineers. So at the same time, I do three perspectives of three different projects as the EPC contractors, as the owner's engineer, as the bank checker engineers. So for the games of the large scale solar. So that's why I always say that this is a game changer to Samaiden. And within short periods that we have a secure 100 million contract, and also subsequently, large scale solar scheme number 2, we replicate similar model. We have secured few more projects, but the time we are more focused on the EPCC contractors already. So then large scale solar 3, we have continuous have more projects, large scale solar 4, until now large scale solar 5. So that's why all this actually we can grow fast, and we achieved IPO in submitted IPO in 2019, and usually December 2019. Usually Bursa approval will give it upon within 3 months, which is March 2020. Unfortunately, it's actually March 2020. Everybody know MCO. Yeah. So MCO, so no approval, no Bursa approval. Then Bursa only give approvals in June 2020. Then we list on October 2020. And one thing very funny one and do this listing is October 2020 is after MCO, but there is a CMCO servers that the conventional listing ceremony of heating up the gong in Bursa, Malaysia was not happened to me. I was very disappointed that 1 day or 2 days before they told me that this is a ceremony. Cannot, because that is the CMCO restricted as any ceremony. So we are not able to go to Bursa to hit the gong. That is something that I am very, very frustrated, and I have put a very, very big objection towards Bursa. I call up them that you couldn't get me this ceremony, then what for I want to list. So but Bursa Malaysia is a good. Then I say, hey, Chow, what you want? I say, I want to hit the gong only. Very simple. I want to hit the gong. Memorable thing that forever in my mind. So I said, you can't let me go inside. You come put outside lah. I go outside. I take a photo. So after deliberating, they also doing first of its kind thing. Is actually, okay, they call me up. Okay, you take the gong back. You call your guy came before 5. You take the gong back to your office and do your gonging session in your office.
In-house gonging session.
Yes.
That's very special.
The gong is Bursa gong.
It's Bursa's, yeah.
I'm the first one to take out their gong. So that is something that I want to demonstrate to the younger generation. What you want, you have to request. You have to fight for it. You have to demand for it. If I didn't demand for it, so the second day and third day or fourth day, all this, the whole week one, actually will not have this gong ceremony. So that's why after I don't want to demand for it, I got a gong. The next day, there is another listing company. They come to my office to take the gong to their office. I always tell them that because of me, that you only got a go, or else that you assume like us that you're doing some listing that nothing happened. So that is something I can share to the younger generations. A lot of businessmen, like entrepreneur, in their life also never go through IPO. So I'm very glad that within my short period of entrepreneurship, I can hit one of the major milestones of most of the entrepreneur wanted to go. So then, but this is not the end. This is for me is a platform. It's for us to why I took IPO, because that we, first of all, funding is not a key reasons. A lot of people want to go IPO is a funding, but for me it's not a key reason. For me, actually, I want my company grow. With the IPO, with the listing status, that we can attract more talents. So with this IPO or listing status, that actually we can have tell the market that what we are doing. We a bit different that compared to others of my peers, that as engineers to run the organization, one of the shortcoming is actually short things actually is the so not so good witnesses is we do not know so much on marketing. You're a bit shy like engineers. Don't know how to market ourselves, also to do how marketing. So this is also, I feel that is still a weakness of Samaiden. So that's why we shall do more marketing about sharing more about self, the companies, and actually to attract more talent, actually to indirectly you have more networking.
So speaking of Samaiden doing more, so the Malaysian government actually set a target for net zero emissions by 2030, which is a big target and it will take a lot of work. So for this final segment, we actually want to ask Chow, just what is Samaiden doing to prepare to help Malaysia meet this target?
Okay, that a lot of people look at Samaiden with thought that we are the solar players. But I have to be aligned back that since the incorporation of the company that we wanted to provide total solution for renewable energy and environmentals. So my main background is actually chemical engineering. My expertise is wastewater treatments. I designed biogas plant before, and actually my expertise is not solar energy. It's not solar energy, but you have to look at the opportunity available at the point of time. Solar energy is actually is a very low hanging fruit that we can execute project fast. We can get project fast, very very fast. But there is others like biogas project, biomass projects actually is also a renewable energy, in which that their so-called implementation time is much longer compared to solar, due to the reason of the funding. So the track record of solar funding track record for solar actually is there. So the banker or sellers, they like the solar project despite it's a low rate in large-scale solar, but they still like it and they're willing to fund. But you go on the other renewable energy such as biomass, biogas, and renewable for mini hydro, the funding is approval is very very slow, because that the banker concern a lot of risks of the projects. But doesn't mean that the project cannot be go. But this is one of the challenges that we wanted to resolve it or mitigate the challenge, overcome the challenge, that in order the project is become financially viable and the funders of the financial willing to fund for the projects. So I just want to share back to the journey of the Samaiden in coming years. We actually is not full play of solar. We are total RE players. And besides solar, that we are developing other renewable energy projects. And all this actually is towards to assist the government to achieve the net zero goals things. And under the National Energy Transition Roadmap, beside RE, they also have energy efficiency. This also in my portfolio as well, that prior they announced all these NETR things, it's all the while is my portfolio. It's a renewable energy efficiency, the others renewable energies part. So all this is inside the portfolio. There's only one thing is not inside my portfolio under the NETR is the carbon captures, in which is applicable for the Petronas or this carbon capturings, and also on the EV deployments at for us, EV deployments is actually its potential, but we have to see what is the role we are playing. For EV, what we can play is actually either you install on the EV chargers as an installer, or you invest on the EV chargers for the car to come to take your EV batteries. But these two models, that installer after EV chargers, the revenue-wise is actually very small. The profit also very small. For us, this is something that our focus more towards that. Those it generate more revenue. But as the investor of the EV chargers, that looking at the deployment of EV cars in Malaysia actually is relatively slow. Relatively slow. That's why you want to make your EV chargers to have the return on investment is long. It's not a good investment as a perspective now, but we didn't do doesn't mean that other people cannot do. We wish to have others giant to do, because they have, like say in Petronas, TMB, they have big profit from their existing businesses. They should contribute this to this society. For me, it's a social projects lah, more towards this kind of social projects, so the market have more chargers there. Then indirectly, then we will attract more EV cars. So that is something that Samaiden's directions is in line with the NETR's roadmap. It's very, very in line. So that's why that is something that I tell you just now about happening. It is happening, will be many, many years.
So to our engineering thinkers, that has been incredible insight and also a very exciting journey that's been shared so far. And of course, all of Dr. R. Chow's personal achievements and also achievements of Samaiden going forward in what she's been describing as a happening industry. So I'm hoping a lot of you will also work towards that and have hope for a better future. And then we're going to conclude this segment and we'll catch you back soon. Engineering thinkers, thank you very much for joining us on our episode today. And obviously a very big thank you to Dr. R. Chow from Samaiden Group Berhad for taking a time out of a very busy schedule to come and help us discover what it means to be an engineer, an entrepreneur, a leader, and an innovator in the space of clean and renewable energy. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our media partners, Group Berhad, for hosting us here, and for their crew who always looks after us, for which this production would not be possible without their assistance. So we're very grateful for them. Now, engineering thinkers, how we always conclude every episode, remember the ultimate purpose of why we're here. Greater engineer,
greater world. To all young engineers, we all welcome you to join Samaiden Group Berhad. So we will create a platform for you all to grow this engineering space, particularly in renewable energy and clean environments.
Hello engineering thinkers, thank you for joining us in our program today. We'd like to invite you to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and also follow us on our other platforms such as Buzzsprout, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. The links for all those will be in the description below. Thank you very much for joining us for this episode, but we have so much more planned for you. So make sure you don't miss out on exciting guests and topics to come. Cheers.